Watch us live on your smart TV on YouTube at WCEG Network. I'm Wardell Richardson, your host for the next 2 hours right here on WcegWood Hollywood of the South. We are your worldwide community empowerment group where we speak life into the community. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and on Instagram at WCEG underscore talk underscore radio. That's WCEG underscore talk underscore radio and at WCEG Network. That's WCEG Network. Last but not least, the topics and opinion are those of the show hosts and guests and not those of WCEG Network. Thank you for your continued support. This is Wardell Richardson. I'm so happy to be here again. Another part 2 of just hard or do we make them hard? That's a question I hear all the time. That's why I titled it that. Every time I go somewhere, someone's telling me, man, relationship's so hard. It's just hard to be in a relationship. I'm like, is it hard or are you making it hard? That's the ultimate question. So without getting too deep into it right now, I brought a fabulous group of people on the show who has their own perspectives, ideas, opinion on what relationships are, how they maneuver, how they should be, and I like this kind of thing because several people on this show, I've talked to them, we've had discussions before. They're very opinionated on what a relationship should be like. I think this is an awesome platform for us to put it all on the table. We got one other person that's coming. He'll be in shortly. He just landed. The weather has been crazy, as everybody knows. Snow, we're gonna talk about one of my guests on the show. She on here, she soldier in the game. She's just like, I'm making it on here. So I want to introduce to you the cast. I mean the people that's on my panel. So I'm talking about cast. I'm always in movie mode, film mode. I gotta scratch that. And we're right here on this panel for relationships. So I'm going to introduce my good friend out in Texas right now. I'm going to introduce her because she's a soldier. She done came into the game. See, Renee, what is going on?
Hello, everybody. Yes, I am C. Renee. My name is actually Candace Renee, but everyone call me C. Renee. And we are, today was the first day that we were actually able to get out. The weather is beyond horrible here. Luckily, my pipes have not burst, but a lot of my neighbors have. It's nothing but ice on the roads. We were down to 1 degree just the last couple of days. It's been very low here.
Wow.
So no power. I didn't have power from Monday up until last night. And I do not have any hot water. I'm at a friend's house right now, but I still have no water. They cut our water off.
Oh man.
So it's tough out here in Texas.
Yeah, it's tough out there in Texas. But I talked to you and I was just like, look, if you can't make it, I understand. You just like, oh, I'm coming. I'm gonna be on the show. I'm just like, okay, soldier, all right then. So I appreciate you coming on the show. Tell everybody a little bit about what you do. Behind the scenes, you're an actress. You do a number of things.
What don't I do? Yes, I am an actress. I am an actress. I host events here, like red carpet events. I'm actually hosting an event on Sunday. The weather would be better on Sunday. But also, I am a producer as well. I'm producing my own reality show called Divas of Dallas. It is about entrepreneurs here in Dallas, Texas, female entrepreneurs, that is. And we are showcasing the startup to the come up, Let's see, I'm a dancer. I've been dancing all my life, but I taught dance professionally for over 10 years.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Because, when you say dancer in Georgia, it means a whole different type of meaning. So please elaborate. Please elaborate what type of dancer you are.
I am a professional hip hop, jazz, lyrical, contemporary, liturgical, that type of dancing, tap.
Right.
Yeah, all of that.
A professional.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. I had to say that because, man, people be like, yeah, I'm a dancer. I'm like, what type of dancer are you? You have to say that here in Atlanta because everybody's a dancer. All the females are dancers here in Atlanta. That's what they be saying.
All right now.
Ain't that right, Tansy?
There are some professional twerkers, you know.
Hey, in a relationship, why not, right? That's what we talking about. We can get to that. In a relationship,
we got a lot to talk about today.
It's not me, but I've heard of them, you know.
It depends on the day. It's me. It just depends on that.
Okay.
All right. Yeah, so are you good? See, Renee, that's all you wanted to say about yourself so far?
I'm good. The list just goes on and on and on. I'm constantly thinking of different ways to, build my brand. So I'm a socialite is what they call me.
That's what's up. Tinsley Bradford, what's happening?
What's going on? What's going on? I am so excited to be on here today. I'm Tinsley, known as your settle-free dating coach, where I empower women to make wise dating choices when choosing their mate by refusing to settle for less than they deserve in that relationship and also in life, period. I am also a journalist and I do host red carpet interviews. I've had the opportunity to be on some big platforms like BET and also Soul Train Music Awards doing events. I've been able to be on CNN, being interviewed about my relationship and dating tips as a single mom, because I'm also a single mom's mentor. And I just recently founded the Settle Free Academy. So for you ladies out there who feel like you keep getting stuck in the same old relationship and your mind is just like, I'm just over this. How can I stop falling for this foolery? My academy has all the answers you need, the Settle Free Academy. And I'm so excited to introduce that to the world, especially with everything going on with the pandemic. I had to found that during the pandemic, just last year.
Right.
But I'm also a single mom, so I speak from experience. I speak from a lot of the things I've gone through. I've experienced and I've also observed. But my main thing is living a settle-free life so that you can walk in your purpose and get the life that you deserve. I'm also a speaker and a book author. So the name of my book is The Settle-Free Dating Method for Women. And I have to make sure I snap my finger. No nonsense dating advice guide to remind you that you are more than enough.
So is this book opposite of the Steve Harvey book?
What's that? Think Like a Man?
Think Like a Man, yeah. Act Like a Man, think like, wait, what's it? Think Like
a Man.
What is it? Okay. What'd you say, Mr. West? Okay. Well, I'm not going to say opposite, but it's a guide to make sure you don't fall prey to foolery when it comes to relationships and dating by paying attention to the telltale signs. A lot of times people, they overlook them. The signs are right there. If he wasn't holding the door for you then, he ain't going to suddenly start holding the door for you. You got to pay attention to the signs. Whatever it is that you want in relationships, pay attention to the signs and see if that person is providing that for you without you having to beg.
That's big. So we ain't gonna get into that yet because I can already tell you ready to roll. so
I'm ready.
We're gonna get into that. Mr. James West, how are you, sir?
After these two queens, I just feel like a pawn. You got two queens on the chessboard.
How should I say Dr. West? I mean, how do you want me? Because you're the man. You know what I'm saying?
Well, right now, I'm okay with James West.
Okay.
I will say that I allowed myself at one point to be on an ego trip, which I thought was justifiable after I busted my butt to get that degree, and traveling around the world, you see a lot. But when you realize a title is a block, when you push a title and you're blocking people out of your life or you're not able to communicate with people, in order for me to communicate with people, I must do that which is necessary to make it easier for folks. So, yes, I got it. I earned it. I've written several books. I'm working on books, all of that. But I want to be relational. So I'm okay with James West. If you call me Dr. West, I won't get mad. If you call me James West, that's good. Just don't call me late for dinner.
All right now.
And give us a little bit about your background, Mr. West.
Wow. I kind of put it in a nutshell with a little residual on the side. I was in a meeting. This describes me. I was in a meeting, make a long story short, I was being sweated, real sweat, put on a lot of pressure by the woman who was this person, happened to be a woman in charge of the meeting. She was doing all these psychological analysis kind of things. And then I noticed where she was like really coming at me and couldn't break me. And I wanted to make sure that she wouldn't break me. I was playing hard to get. And then she broke her whole thing and she said, "Who are you? What do you do?" And so I answered her, like I'm getting ready to tell you, I answered her. I never said this before, but my answer was simply this. She said, "What do you do?" I said, "I irritate the hell out of people for a living." Everybody in the meeting, they were really frustrated with me because I wasn't going along with it. Now, everybody was getting mad at me. I wish this so-and-so would sit down. But when I told them I irritate people for a living, everybody that was irritated started laughing and they got relaxed.
Right.
And I tell you how I got where that came from. And this is to answer your question. I'm not trying to over elaborate. I just come back from doing a revival in London. I got back home, and instead of just putting my bags down and relaxing and chilling for a couple hours, I went right to unpacking, took all my dirty clothes, and I put them in the washing machine. And I had a revelation. Truly, God gave me a revelation when I was getting ready to wash my clothes. I used to always wonder how that little area, you could load it up with clothes, put a few ounces of detergent in it, turn on the water, turn on the machine, and 20 minutes later, your clothes are clean, wet but clean. And then, of course, you transfer them to the dryer, unless you're old school and you hang them out on the line. And I always wonder, how did that happen? How does that happen? And God spoke to me. I tell you, it's strange, but he spoke to me. That little device in the middle is an agitator. And when it's processing, it irritates. It irritates the dirt out of the clothes. And then I ask myself, I live in a world that seemingly is hell-oriented. I believe I have a job to do. But what I did not employ any type of methodology to get on people's nerves on purpose. I just discovered that I was so uniquely made that I irritate and agitate people. And as you can see, you talk too much. You think you know, you think you know so much. You're a doctor. And well, then I began to slow down the road. I irritate the hell that's in people out of people. And how do I do that? By sharing challenging information, making people think. And if you feel that I'm wrong, the only way you could do it, because the Bible says to be angry, but sin not. I want you to be angry, but I don't want you to come after me to try to hurt me, because I may have to make you an offer you can't refuse. So you get challenged, you get irritated, you get mad. The only thing you can do is prove me wrong. You go and research the information and you see for yourself. And that, my way, is a general way of looking at my ministry and my overall life, because I am an ordained minister, an educator, and a professional caretaker. I'm kind of like a bodyguard. That's all. That's a long story. I won't get into it tonight, of course. But that kind of describes me. Just put it this way, and then I'll shut up for a moment. When I was a child, we were so poor. At one point, we was taking popcorn to school for lunch. We were so poor that I had to save half of my bag of popcorn so I could have lunch the next day. A couple of years ago, I was touching the walls of Auschwitz gas chamber. I was there on the ground and experiencing what those people felt when they were all brought into the gas chamber and killed, burnt up, and crushed into ashes and dumped on the ground. So my life has been through it. At 70 years old, I'm still being challenged, but I'm blessed, happily married. I got some powerful children. And of course, blessed by knowing someone like you, and the opportunity of Miss Bradford and Miss C. Renee. And so that's me. And so I'm hoping tonight that I can make a contribution and maybe irritate the hell out of a few people.
Well, I hear you good at it. So, that's why I wanted to bring you on the show. But I'm glad everybody's here. Thank you all for being on the show. So I'm going to start right off the title of this segment, which is, are relationships hard or do we make them hard? Tinsley, how do you feel about that?
We make them hard. That's my answer from the beginning. And when I posted this whole segment, I was like, y'all already know my answer is we make them hard. One of the reasons why, I can go on and on for many reasons, but one of the reasons why is because when you think about relationships, the moment you get in one, there's a lot of expectations that are set, and people are expecting things many times that are unrealistic. Before they even get to know the person, really get to know the person, these expectations are there. And then now there's the pressure for the other person in the relationship to meet that expectation. And when that doesn't happen, it causes conflict. One of those expectations is constant sex, constant intimacy. People are now saying, okay, I'm obligated to do this every day, all night. When am I supposed to stop? And if the other person wants it all the time, how do you come to a middle ground? So that's already causing complications because the intimacy is not balanced. That's one of the reasons.
Now, do you feel like when you go into a relationship that you should have expectations?
I think when you go into a relationship, you should have realistic ones. You shouldn't think that the person that you're dating or trying to get to know in that relationship are going to be exactly what you thought they were going to be, what you want them to be. Because apparently you're attracted to them for a reason. But you can't go into that relationship thinking every single thing you thought about that person is what it was. Because 9 times out of 10, it's far from what you thought, or it may be a little close, but it's not going to be exactly like you thought. So now you're starting to set your own self up for disappointment and let down. And now you're frustrated because that person wasn't what you thought. And you're starting to pass judgment and that person's starting to feel away. So there we have it. Hence, it's already complicated. It's already hard.
Okay. See, Renee, you wanna expound on that?
Baby, Miss Tinsley done said a whole word.
You're making it hard, see, Renee.
Listen, I think you stepping on some people's toes, include mine. So relationships, I do say that we tend to make them hard, especially if we go on with the wrong mindset. I'm kind of going to piggyback on what she just said. Expectations is a huge thing. I saw something that said the minute you big expectations are also equalized to big disappointments. You have to, when you your mindset, it's your mindset. Me personally, relationships are cool, but I prefer a partner. So I believe in a partnership. But you're so right. When you go in with expectations and that person does not meet your expectations, you tend to, you become disappointed, and then you do pass judgment, and then a relationship is like, ugh. So I want to say, we do make it hard. We do. I feel like we make it hard, but we have to first look in the mirror before we can first point the finger at the other person.
Amen. Are you meeting those expectations that you want?
Right.
Right.
I saw a post earlier today, but I'm gonna let Mr. West jump in on this. What you got to say about this, Mr. West?
Well, preface by saying my understanding and what I purport to share, I go all the way back to the beginning of time, when God created the heaven and the earth, all the way up to the influence that I have through my teachings as a Christian, Jesus Christ as my Lord and Savior, and taking the educational tools and understanding all of that through the eyes of sanctification and education, or sanctified education. I believe that people in general, and I have to put a little emphasis on women in particular. This is not an anti-woman, this is not putting pressure, but I discovered when I was in Poland a couple of years ago, is that the most, I'll say the greatest problem, or the most pronounced problem we have in the world, is the disrespect, the mistreatment, the abuse of women. What I discovered, though, without, in a way of complimenting women, but with a challenge, is that a lot of women that I know of, heard of, talked about, blah, 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 don't know their power, or you can say their place. And this is not, you got to be there. No, listen, watch this. The woman is the most powerful entity on this earth.
I agree with that. I say that all the time.
Epitome. Now that didn't irritate me.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Watch this. And one of the best ways I describe it is through the game of chess. The chess game will displease a lot of people, but watch this. If you understand the game with all the different parts, the king is limited to being at the house. He's the king. He's not the queen. He's the king. But he is to rule from the house. But part of his rule is expressed in his satisfaction, his love, and his support for his woman, who he didn't empower. It came with the game of life. She is empowered to move all over the board, any direction she wants to go. She's powered or empowered to be the womb man of the whole game of life. And she also knows that while she's doing her thing, she's representing her man. So this is not employing her. It is her walking in her purpose. One other thing, and I'll try to shut up. This whole matter now of women in general, I'm not talking black or white, because I tell you, once you leave the United States and travel around the world, especially if you are black or have been black, claim to be black, close to black, you discover that though our problem is great, especially in America, around the world, women are suffering all over. This whole thing of celebrating their sexuality. I mean, if we're talking about it, especially if you're black, you're talking about being the queen. The queen don't show off her stuff. She preserves it. She is the epitome of all the creation. But watch this. When a man says, I got a piece of that, he's right. Only a few times a man is ever right in his own sickness. I got a piece of that. When we celebrate sexuality, and that word comes from the Latin term sexus or secure, it means cut off or divided. In other words, broken off or a piece. And so when that man is getting a piece, that's all he's got. But the fool don't understand if he went after the heart, he would have the whole. And so we have to be retaught. We have to be retaught on who the woman is. But in order to be taught by who the woman is, we have to go to the greatest teacher of humanity, and that is the womb man, because out of her womb, she births intelligence and understanding. She educates, she motivates. And especially when it comes to relationship, we have to understand, according to transactional analysis, that man's got a boy in him. We coexist with the boy, but we must understand that when we grow up, we put away boys' childish things. But in terms of a relationship, it sounds unfair, and it is unfair, but it's reality. If that woman wants her man to be the man that she needs, and she invests herself in him, then the mother in that woman must love on that boy so that boy can be the man that that woman needs.
A lot of women, that's a good one. That's a good one, Jane. That's a good one. And you make a valid point. I think a lot of times guys, have a hard time doing that, because here you have this woman, she's got this good job. She looks good. She works hard. She earns a good salary. She went to college sometime. She got a master's or a degree of some sort. She's intelligent. She's well-spoken. She's articulate. She got looks. But then yet right now, when you think about it, she's single and she has a tough time. I think a lot of times that one thing I talked about earlier, that expectation starts to take a toll. Because now with all that I just said about a lot of women, not necessarily that they wear that on their shoulders and they say, hey, don't say that to me. I'm single. I'm independent. I'm beautiful. I don't need no man. That's not what it is. But a lot of times they get confused with the fact that she's a woman, but she's not there to just give you intimacy. She's so much more than that. And the confusion starts when you get in that relationship, and every time you turn around, you're expecting sex. I keep bringing up sex because that's part of it. You just said something valid when you say showing off your stuff. I see posts all the time when a lot of women sometimes are up there. They're posing on these photos. They're showing their print. Did they have to pose like that to show their print? They're doing a lot of this stuff. And sometimes it does send the wrong message. Not that I'm trying to hate on that, because, I've showed pictures of showing my cleavage, my breasts, some things, all that, because I have beautiful body. I feel good about myself. But then at the end of the day, sometimes people are very visual. So when they see those things, they're looking at that like, ooh, I want a piece of that, because there's nothing else for them to imagine.
Right. And we must understand that that's why I went to the beginning. Relationships are attacked, just like in a game of bowling. You go after that head pin and everything else falls apart. And what is happening, one of the ways that women have been insulted and families have been destroyed because there's a systematic format operating at a high level, and the key to that whole action of this formatting is to destroy the head. So then that man, we are misinformed, miseducated, and the key is to take down that brother. We need to be retaught. But then if people are not into learning or have being taught by proper teaching or by people that love them and care about them and have a good basis of that understanding, we're going to constantly be miseducated. And education is the key. Now, I'm not talking about the classroom. I'm talking about stuff like that old African Gruit education, where that baby is set up in front of that old man and he learns all this knowledge for years and years and years and years, every day, years and years and years, until he's old enough and mature enough to also teach. We're talking about generational blessing. We're talking about generational knowledge. And on the heels of this, and then again, if you want to lean toward the Black perspective, Black today is something different than Black back in the 60s when we were wearing those fake Afro hairdos and those dashikis that didn't exist in some parts of Africa. But at the same time, we are, again, being miseducated and being misinformed. And we got to get down to the soul of the individual and reteach while we move forward. It's almost like going backwards to catch up and moving forward without getting too far behind.
Well, Dr. West, that's the biggest thing, like for especially for Black people. We grow up and so many Black people have the single mom or the single dad, or, it's very, very, very few families that have both parents in the household. So to see a model of love, to see a model or to understand what love is or what relationship is, that's one of the biggest issues. So how do we go by fixing that? How do you go by trying, getting understanding of what a true relationship should be like?
You have to want it. You have to want it. Period, point blank. If you don't want it, if you don't genuinely want it, then you're not going to seek it. And so that's the first step right there. And then too, we have to get out of our own heads. We self-sabotage a lot, and we talk ourselves out of things when we have good people in our lives, but yet it goes back to those expectations and we tend to mess it up. And then we have to let go of fear. We have to really let go of fear. Fear is killing a lot of relationships, period, point blank.
They are. Yeah. I was going to say the same thing you said, Renee, when you said we have to want it. Like literally, it was going to come out my mouth exactly like that. When a person doesn't want it, they're not going to do it. It's just not going to do it. I mean, that's just like for a job you choose. You can get offered a great job. If you don't want that job, you're not going to choose it. You could go somewhere and get ready to buy a car. If you don't want that car, you're not going to buy it. If you don't want that jewelry, you're not going to buy it. You have to want it. Whatever you're going to purchase or whatever you're going to invest in, you have to want it. And I think about what Mr. James just said, like the whole reteaching, I get that part of it. When you already a woman, you got your menstrual cycle, you got to give birth, you bearing so much on your shoulders. Do you even have the time and energy to teach? You have to want to do that too. You have to want to see some value in that guy enough to say, okay, I see the potential in him. Let me see if I can retrain him. Because that's like having another child. I don't know if I have an energy for that. I got to look and see how I want to do that. How would I do that? How would I do that to make somebody relearn something that they don't know?
So do you really?
It is unfair, but it's unfair, but it's reality. It's unfair. Right. Admittedly, it is unfair on the woman, but it is reality. And it's going to take a spark of somebody. And perhaps for a generation of people or an aggregation of people, which see Renee in Texas and Miss Bradford here and the influence that you have, I would believe that this show is going to create some sparks this time. But understand, I hit the wrong button, but understand that it's going to take somebody. And here's a good point. The world, all of life as we know it began with a desire. If you can't desire it, it's not going to happen. Whatever you want, it starts with a desire. The mind is the mother of all invention. If you can't think it and believe it, you can't conceive it, you won't be able to receive it.
And that's for that guy too. So if you're trying to retrain, he has to want it. He has to know there's issues. And let me tell you where a lot of relationships become challenging. Once again, making them hard. Because when a woman is, and I've been in these relationships where I felt like I saw that something in him. I saw that he could be this, he could be that. It's not as bad as I thought. Let me retrain him. Let me show him what a good woman is like. I know Ordell hates when women say they're a good woman because he always said, what makes you think you're a good woman? Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But let me see what the good woman's all about, But that man has to want to learn it, because now if I'm showing him what is alike, what he needs to be doing, what a woman, for him to speak my love language, for him to speak my communication language, now I'm nagging. I'm not being looked at as showing him to relearn and love the woman. I'm nagging. He's looking at me as a nagger when all I'm doing is telling him in my own little sweet, sassy way, not always sassy, sometimes gentle, sometimes divorce of reason, sometimes patiently, but because I'm saying something that he's not ready to learn, because all he sees is my print and my butt, and he's ready to get in the bed, he's not going to change because he wants that intimate part and he wants it how he wants it. And I've had these experiences with guys a lot of times where they want the relationship, once again, like I talked about earlier,
Right.
That expectation is good sex, good food, watch sports when I want, have lots of fun. She's not going to nag me. I'm going to do me. She's going to be laid back, and it turns into an issue because now both of us are expecting something different that neither one of us have the energy to give at that time, or we may not even know because we're not getting to know each other.
Exactly.
You got to start to get to know people enough to know how they feel when you're mad at them and how they feel when times are good. If you don't know both, it's going to be tough.
Right.
It's always be hard.
And then also, at that moment, us as women, we have to take accountability. And when we realize that the relationship is going absolutely nowhere, that you can't change a man. And I'm not sure if I like the word train either. I don't want to train.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
Man. I just don't. No, when I think of training, we train animals. We can't train each other, no. But if my efforts, if my love, if me being genuine is not being noticed, or if he just in the set mindset, then we have to learn to walk away. We can't stay in a relationship and think that we're going to change this man because, over time, we just can't. If you're on two different pages, you got to, own up and say, you know what, this isn't going anywhere. And not to say that you're a bad person, not to say that I'm a bad person. We're just not meant for each other, and that's okay.
Right.
So let's just go our separate ways peacefully. It doesn't have to be drama filled. It doesn't have to be bad. It could just be like, hey, it's just not working out. Love you. And let's just go on. But yet we like the drawn out drama filled stuff. We like to point the finger at the other person and say, well, you didn't do this and you didn't do that. But you knew you knew all along that they were not doing that. So it's kind of your fault. And I'm speaking as a woman, we tend to fail to take accountability for failed relationships. We always point the finger at the other partner, but we don't think about all of the signs that we recognize. Right. And we should have said, you know what, I got to go.
Yeah.
Right. But see, that's the thing too. When we say that, because my whole theory is I always use the term next. I'm quick. My next game is strong. I'm just next. I talked about that so much, but sometimes that's looked at as impatient. But how much are you willing to endure? We got now on top of the menstrual cycle and us having to give birth and having to deal with all this stuff. We got the pandemic last year. We were dealing with racial injustice. So now I got to add the burden of his stuff on my shoulder. And it's not that I'm being snobbish or being inconsiderate, but it's like you have to want to take that on. That's another thing. Like I see the shortcomings. I see how it's emotionally draining me already. We ain't even really talked that long. We ain't even done a lot. Am I going to see all this stuff and go, well, at least I see he was nice, even though he made me feel upset for the last 3 days. He called and made me feel better today. No, I have to make sure every single day of my life that I'm getting what I need from that. And I feel like I'm giving what he needs. And if we're not on that same level, I'm not coming in that situation trying to remold you into this perfect person. I can't do it. I apologize for the inconvenience that this may have caused you, but it's not working. And I'm going to have to go ahead on it.
Real quick, though, I want to touch on what you said, Tinsley, earlier. You said, I don't like when a woman says she's a good woman. That's not necessarily true. Okay. I think women should feel like, as well as men, that they're good people. But the problem I have is that a lot of women say, I'm a good woman, I'm a good woman, I'm a good woman. And then okay, so let's go back. I did a panel before, and I was on the panel, and these women stood up saying, I cook, I make his bath water, I do this, I do that, and she's like, I'm a great woman. I'm just like, okay, but okay, it's good for you to feel like you're a great woman, but to me, it's the judgment of the other person to determine if you're a good woman to them. That's all I was saying.
I feel you on that, and I remember when you said it.
Yeah, because just because that you do all that don't mean that's what that guy needed. You know what I'm saying? If he like to take showers, you making a bath water ain't gonna do me no good. You know,
that's that love language thing. If you date somebody in your relationship, you should know not to do boiled bath water, and he better run his own. He better run his own water. But that's another story. Maybe on Valentine's Day, for his birthday, he ain't to be running no bath water every night like I got a child still. But that's another story. That's romantic and all, but that ain't nothing that's gonna be the norm. I'm telling you that right now. But I feel you on that. You have to feel good about who you are, in that relationship too. So see, that's the self-confidence part. I'm gonna stand up and say, I know I'm a good woman because I am. Now I ain't perfect. I may have some flaws and some imperfections, but the man of your dreams and the man that God has for you, the right person is not going to judge you on every imperfection, because he's going to come in there and see so many valuable things about what you contribute and how you light his fire and how you make him smile and how you make him feel good. And hopefully he makes you feel good. Then the both of y'all going to gel well because there's no competition. But when he's sitting on the sideline going, she ran shower and I like baths, that's already an issue, because why didn't you say that in the beginning, number one? And number two,
the man say, well, see, that's all about paying attention to the person. But Dr. West, you was trying to say something. Go ahead.
Yeah, to share in the contribution of the discussion. Again, I'm a nutcase for going back to the beginning, re-education, et cetera, and that's what I do a whole lot of. I think people in general, women in particular, are putting so much emphasis on what they need to do, what they should do. And I want to say it's not about the doing, but it's about the being. And it's very noted just in a whole understanding of life in its beginning. We are human beings. And it's not about, we were not hewn out of the earth, and there's scientific, medical justification for that. We were hewn out of the ground, Mother Earth, as we would call it, to be. And I think if a lot of people understood who they are,
right,
they can have a better understanding of how they should be. There's 6 questions that people need to be able to explain, understand, talk about in order to really deal with life. A guy named Rudyard Kipling, he was an Indian that was raised under British education. And he had this little thing. He said, I have 6 honest serving men. They taught me all I knew. Their names are what, why, when, which, where, and who. And of course, the hardest question to answer is the question of why. But we have to also ask those others, what are we really about? And this is where I push going back. And let me just share this about my relationship with my wife. I met her on a Friday night before the second Sunday in March of 1979. A month and a half later, I asked her to marry me. Within 3.5 months of us being married, having met, we were married, and now we're going on 42 years. And the 42 years. And now watch this. One of the things that really made me mad is that when she told me a couple of years into our relationship, she said, I didn't marry you because I love you. I married you because you're a good friend. And I'm thinking, all this time, and I thought you loved me, was what she didn't love me. But but watch this. Years later, the strength of our marriage, especially in this time period, is because of our friendship. We must be friends. Let me read something real quick. True friendship. Now watch this, a crazy analogy, but watch this. The question is, do you know what the relationship is between your 2 eyes? They blink together. They move together. They cry together. They see things together. They even sleep together, but they never really see each other. Your right eye will never look at your left eye. but you just have to know that your partner is there. And because of the relationship of who you are and where you are planted, you function together. That's true friendship. You will never see eye to eye, but you will see things together. True friendship.
You know,
come on, you better say that.
That's a really good scenario of it, because it makes a lot of sense, you know. And I was reading somewhere too. It's a really short saying. I don't remember. It's old school, but it's so true. You know that you're in a good relationship with someone and you have a good, strong, solid friendship with them at the same time, when the two of you all can lay down by each other and say and do absolutely nothing, but still totally understand each other in that moment.
I say the same thing.
Nobody's necessary. That's necessary to have. I mean, because even at your darkest and your darkest hour, that friendship is going to take precedent over that relationship.
Right. Yes. And I also want to say to men, it is not about what you can get out of her. It is what you give. Woman is made for impregnation. I didn't say have babies. Didn't say a lot of sex. She's made for impregnation. Whatever you give her, she's going to take it, and according to who she is and her nature, she's going to produce. The analogy is about babies, but we're not talking about having babies and be fruitful and multiply. That has nothing to do with having babies. Being fruitful is production. And so the man must understand, if he acts like a dog, she's going to give him a bastard. But whatever he gives her, she's going to produce it. So he's got to be careful about what he can give, because and it's very, very plain, the teachings of life, and it's very, very biblical, very foundational to life. It is more blessed to give than receive.
Right.
But here's the mathematical madness of it. The more you give, the more you receive. You don't get by taking, you get by giving. You want something out of the relationship, you got to plant some seeds in order for that relationship to produce it.
All right. And Dion will be coming on shortly. He just sending me messages saying that he got his luggage and stuff. He'll be getting on in a little bit. So like I said, our other panel guest had a late flight. They changed his flight. He just got in, so he'll be on shortly. So based off of that, I wanted to go into another realm and ask another question, because we got some people watching right now, and they're really feeling everything that's going on. So if a woman makes more money than a man, and somebody had asked me this question before, if a woman makes more money than a man, does that mean that she wears the pants in the household?
So. No. Now,
you jumped up real quick, Dr. Westham.
Absolutely not. As a woman, no, it does not.
No, I'll tell you why. We have several accounts, and I've committed myself to let because I'm the finance person in the family, I make sure that my wife gets to control as much money as she needs to control. We are not rich. We are blessed to be living in a great place. We came to Georgia, had a nice job, got a great loan. The loan was forgiven. Can you imagine being broke, coming to Georgia and being given an accessible of $500,000 to get settled into your home, and then years later they write you a letter and said, "Don't worry, you don't have to pay us back." Wow! But watch this.
What loan company is that?
The greatest job that a woman would ever perform is being who she is, and you cannot pay her for that. This whole thing about a woman making money, we live in a time where we are pushing an economy. We are forcing people to work. We're talking about this competitive thing. When, if she wants to work, okay, that's fine. If the relationship can take it, that's fine. If you need to, that's fine. But it's not based on how much money she's making. She's more valuable than all the money in the world anyway. And as far as my relationship with my wife, when the money comes in, the way we get money, and then she's also an actress, a performer. You all remember the movie
Right.
Rocky? Okay,
Yeah.
she's the voice behind Rocky, and of course you know her. She's an awesome lady, awesome ministry. So
Yeah.
she gets her spending money. I call it chump change. But I did something else. I not only tied to the Lord, we not only support ministries around the world, in this country and around the world, I also tied to my wife. So 10% of my salary that I bring into the house, I give to my wife as a non-discretionary fund. She can spend it the way she wants to and don't have to tell me nothing. If I require her to tell me, she wouldn't tell me anyway, because what's hers is hers. But again, it's about what you all on. Anytime you think of yourself in terms of your partnership and not think of your partnership in terms of yourself, you have lost your relationship. And hopefully you'll be able to recover it. But it's not about the job. Your relationship is not described and understood by who's got the money, because she's more valuable than all the money you could give her anyway. Money is not the thing that makes her happy. She's happy when she could be who God created her to be.
Absolutely. Where the term happy wife, happy life come in.
That's true.
You better believe
absolutely it. We don't wear the pants. I don't want to wear no pants all the time. I want to wear skirts and heels and all that stuff.
I heard that.
But
I'm
gonna say, if we make more money, it just means we make more money. We may have chosen a career that pays more money. It doesn't mean that we wear the pants in the house, nor does it mean it takes away the obligations and expectations from the mate. I'm not saying he got to give me his whole check. That little allowance that Mr. West talking about, cute too. I like that. But what I'm saying
let me tell you, hold on. I don't mean to cut you off, but Dr. West, you got my phone is texting. People tell me, I like that 10%. People, my phone is like going off.
I like that allowance, honey. Give it to me. I'll take that.
That is hilarious.
I will take that allowance.
Yeah.
And so, we don't wear the pants, and I don't want a man to ever think that that's what it's about. Don't ever feel smaller because you make less money. Look at where we are right now. A lot of people got laid off last year. Some people went from making 6 figures to making, 12, to making less than 6 figures a year. Some people went from that to being unemployed. Some people are so dependent on, on unemployment benefits. I mean, some people ain't working at all. They're not getting anything, living off their savings or whatever. So I don't think it has anything to do with wearing the pants. It's the mindset. Now, I will say there are some boss women who have that mentality because they make more money. They already feel like, I run this because if it wasn't for me, we wouldn't have this, we wouldn't have that. And it goes back to that mindset of, did you accept a male into your life or the person you're choosing to date because you bought your way into that relationship? Did you fall in love? Did you do this thing together? Or did you get this relationship because you make the money, you can afford all this, you bought the PlayStation, you went and got the credit cards, you got good credit, so you're going to finance everything and throw it in his face. And then when complications come in there, you want to remind him that you did this and you do that. That means you're settling for less. Because why are you in a relationship with somebody you got to do all that for anyway by yourself? You're living a life that's fulfilled with settling. And the rest of your life is going to always be determined by how much you can do. Because now, if you get laid off and you don't make more money than him, guess what? Is he going to have the same transition that a lot of us have? I'm going to tell you, when men get laid off, and I'm not trying to be biased, but there's a little bit of it in there. When men get laid off and a good woman is in there, and I'm going to say good woman again, Wardell. When we get laid off and there's a good woman in there, we always hold it down. I think about Tupac. He said he didn't care what, his mama didn't care what it was. In the kitchen trying to make them a hot plate. She was just working with the scraps she was given. His mama made miracles every Thanksgiving. Because women, just like Dr. James said, we can make miracles with whatever men give us or whatever we're given.
You know something? I saw that was an interview on a famous talk show where this rapper got on there. He was talking about his business he had and how it blew up and all that kind of stuff. And they was asking him, how did he get his business the way he did? And his exact words were, he said, first of all these brothers around here trying to bring their homeboys in and all that, you need to scrap that and get you some women. Women are not going to let you fail. That's exactly what he said. They're going to hold you down. They're not going to let you fail. And I truly believe that. I believe that a man is not truly 100% successful without that woman to help produce, just like Dr. West said, whatever it is that his dreams are. And that's just what it is. we can have the vision, but that woman's gonna make it happen.
Gonna make it happen, and then you have to also share in that vision and be appreciative.
Absolutely.
I would hope that young man is still together with that woman that did all that with him. Because a lot of times people get these things, and then unfortunately those complications and that hard part of the relationship.
Wait a minute, whoa! Why you had to say that?
I had to bring up the reality part of it because I want to make sure they're still together. Because he sat there and praised her about everything she did, but my concern is, was there any expectations where if she doesn't do this anymore and things start to flop, is he going to stick around or what's going to happen? And I know that's another question for another segment, but I just thought I'd ask because realistically that can happen. I'm not going to walk in the door and say, I did all this for you. So if something happened, are you going to stick around? Are you going to dip? But that's going to be in the back of my mind if that person is displaying behaviors that does make me feel that could possibly happen. People look good on camera.
Isn't that kind of pre-thinking a negative thought when you could just be thinking something positive behind that whole thing?
I think it's pre-thinking a negative thought, but I'm just saying, I would hope that person in that relationship and that person who did all that stuff for them are together for other reasons too, making sure that it ain't just because she funded the things and things grew together as them with a couple, but because they genuinely love, care for each other, and they're friends and all of that. And that way it'll still last and grow, that it wasn't like what I just said. How sometimes people pay their way into stuff, and then when those things are taken away from them, that relationship starts to fail because it may have been what it was. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying, and I think it's a good thing. I look at the positive energy all around the world today. Women by their men's side, the strong Black woman. We got a Black vice president of the United States.
Okay, woman. But the first thing is, I didn't say she funded anything. I said he helped push his business and make it thrive. That's what I said. He had money. He was loaded. You know what I'm saying? But without her, he basically said he wouldn't have made it.
Now that's a good mixture right there. As long as she wasn't funded it alone. That's a good mixture.
That's a good guy to be able to bring that to the forefront. But going back to the question, if a woman makes more money, does she wear the pants? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I want a man to lead. Babe, I'm going to push you. I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to motivate you. What we need to do. You have an idea. Let me help you bring that to life. So you can be good. Let me help you be great because we're going to be great together. I know some women do have that mindset, and you have to look at it. It's a self-esteem thing. When you have that control, when people have control, men or women, they really have low self-esteem. If they try to try to control you. So when you have that mindset of, I make more money, so I run this, and that. No, wait a minute.
Right.
First of all, you have to go back and check yourself because that's not the case.
Right.
I don't agree with that type of mindset from a woman. To answer your question where they'll know, that's not what it means. Man was meant to be here to lead and be lead. I'm gonna let him do that, lead.
What's your idea of leading? I would like to know that, Mr. West. What is your idea of leading that relationship? Because some people take that the wrong way.
Leadership is made in a partnership. Your greatest strength is when two opposites can come together. And there's a whole lot about you that will never change, but at the point where you come together with all your differences, you have your greatest strength. The best way I could describe that is through looking at the earth. The atmosphere, the earth, the 7 continents, et cetera, et cetera. Watch this. And it's not a terminology trip, and I'm not trying to get fancy with my words, but you have to watch reality. You have the North Pole, which is extremely at the top. You have the South Pole, which is extremely at the bottom, but then that's based on how you're looking at it because there's no bottom and top in a circle.
Right.
But where they come together, the strongest area of the atmosphere in the whole earth is called the equator. North and South coming together, all their differences, and the greatest strength. By the way, the greatest amount of land mass that is assigned to the area of the latitude and the longitude of the equator is the middle of Africa, which is basically, some people argue this, but you look at the map, it's basically an area that is now called Niger. I won't pronounce it politically correct, but that whole area of the center, of Africa. So that's a whole nother point. But the point I'm trying to make, when the two come together and can agree to come together, and I'm just not talking about agree to disagree and that type of stuff, but when you look at life and how we are made, the strength of our nation, the strength of our existence is when we come together and don't have to always agree, but we at least come together. And it's out of that central point that we can operate.
Right.
Equator comes from the word equal. Equality is not based on the sameness. Equality is based on the two differences come together. And I also have to emphasize, with all due respect to all of our friends and some relatives, it is that opposite, the male and the female. And by the way, if you talk about differences between a man and a woman, or male and female, I would say the only difference between a male and a female is fee, F-E.
Right.
If you ever remember taking that science class and that periodical table was up there, every science class back in the day had a periodical table. And
Right.
it's really ironic, if you know the story, it just arbitrarily put that table together, but ironically, right in the middle, you will find fee. The only definition for the word fee or that prefix fee is iron. Number 26 on a periodical table, it is the denotation for strength. When you break down the human body, 85 to 90% is water and the rest is miracle. So that's a story about God creating the heaven and the earth and creating man and woman from the earth. The greatest, and once you break those minerals down and take out the water, about 10% or so is minerals, not dirt, but minerals. And one of the greatest, if not the most pronounced presence of all metals in that residue is iron.
Use
At
that.
the center of life, your strength
Tinsley
is
like
the
that.
fee.
No, I'm gonna use that.
Your strength is the fee. But you also understand God used the man to plant a seed. All right? And it is the female who has the strength to produce it. So we still must look at strengthening the opposites by bringing them together without the sweating of always having to agree. The strength comes when you come together. There's nothing in the books that says you have to agree, but you have to come together. But in those opposites coming together, you have wholeness. We have a whole earth because of the differences coming together.
Oh, I like that. So that fee is the 10%, right? That's that 10%, that fee.
Well, the most pronounced,
you know what?
in terms of that 10%. Well, if you're talking about that 10%, that's based on tithing. But watch this to show you why we get in a whole thing about mathematics, biblical mathematics. But tithing is most important, and it's not getting the preacher rich, the choir being able to have their robes for free and blah, blah, blah. It's something about 10%, but watch this to show you where it really comes from inherently in God's creation. 10% of the earth's surface is on the top of the water. All the land mass that there is on this earth, it only represents 10% of the earth. 90% is underwater. We have to operate off of that 10%, which is the epitome of giving. So it's not like, bottom line, the emphasis is on proportional giving of yourself. And Danny Bell used to say, little becomes much when you place it in the master's hand. The master of all creation, or the results of creation, is the last thing that God made. Everything that God created, every life form on this earth is made with male and female. Unfortunately, with all due respect, not male and male, not female and female, but male. Everything. If you ever go down a country road and you see somebody planting corn, you can't tell without looking even more meticulously. But for it, they do what they call 4-2-4-2 planting. It is two right here. That one male corn is responsible for impregnating the other two female plants. The male here is responsible for impregnating these two. So you look at the 4-2-4-2. What you have is the reality that that corn that we love to eat, whether we roast it or turn it into soup, is because a male got together with a female. There is no life, no type of life, none whatsoever, without a male seed and a female womb coming together in agreement and creating.
Right.
So as
Right.
it is with the physical, so it is with the mental and emotional and the spiritual. If there is no seed being planted in the heart of that womb man, there is no life. Nobody can claim any credence over the other. It is together we stand, or divided we don't even exist.
Right.
You have to pay
Exactly.
attention to stuff, right, Wardell? If you're
Yeah.
dating a woman, say you go on a date, how much time we got? I know we've been talking for a minute. Where
We
we
got
at
time,
from a
go
time?
ahead.
We're good. Okay. So if you go on a date with a woman and you already got your mind made up that you like what she looked like on the pictures, but then when you meet her in person, you still thought she was cute, but there's some body things about her that you don't really like. You know, like you might see her and go, oh, she's a little taller than you expected in person. You thought she was going to be shorter, or she got a little bit more, you know, breast than you expected. You like a larger rump and smaller breasts, or whatever your thing is. Have you already made your mind up that you're not going to move forward with her, you know, in that relationship, because you already said, okay, she was cute on the pictures. Now she's still cute in person, but I don't like the way she built. If you see that, are you going to say, okay, I'm going to take her out again just to see if maybe I can kind of like melt into her or warm up to her? Or are you going to just be pretty much done on that date because you already saw you didn't like how tall she was? You already saw you didn't like the way she was built. I'm just asking that. The reason why I asked is because she may walk away from that date thinking everything went well, but your mindset is already she too tall and I don't like the way she built. So you're not going to move forward. Then the next step is her calling, going, well, what happened? We had such a good night. What happened? Would you tell her, oh, you're too tall? Or what would you say? You know, I asked that to uncomplicate the complications.
Right. Right. And I feel like honesty is the best policy for any situation. But you know, it's a way to deliver everything that you do. You know, you shouldn't be. I think when you talk to people, it should be more of a situation where you can comfortably talk to them and say, okay, well, this didn't work out for me, you know, whatever. But to just say, oh, nah, you too tall, you talk too much, this, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, because you know, I've seen situations.
I believe you would tell me I talk too much. For some reason, I believe you would tell me I talk too much. That's the one thing you would tell me.
I'm, you know what? I'm a straightforward shooter, man. And I don't, but I try not to disrespect, but I do like to tell the truth. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, I'm just a realist that way. I don't like there to be any gray area. You know what I mean? But at the same time, you know, I think that you have to really look at the situation, look at the person, understand the person, where the person is coming from, what they've been through. It's so many aspects to getting to know a person. And to just brush them off for a little thing, you could be running away the best thing that could ever happen to you.
It could be. That's a good point. I want to ask a quick question, and I'm gonna let somebody else talk. There's two different scenarios about this. I talked to a guy, went on a date not long ago. He was sharing with me about like why his last relationship failed. The mindset was different between him and that woman. He went into that relationship with his stuff together. She went into that relationship sharing that she had already had several bad experiences with a few guys before that. Issues all over the place. I don't even want to go into detail, but she felt if they moved together, which they eventually did, he should pay the whole mortgage and she should not. His mindset was, if they move together, he should pay half and she should pay half. I agreed with him and he was surprised. The reason why I agreed with him is because any amount of help towards a mortgage bill or rent or whatever is still a blessing. I don't feel like a person should automatically think the moment you meet somebody and they make good money and they got their own and they decide to move in that they owe you, or y'all get a house together, that they owe you the full mortgage. I think a lot of people feel that they have to pay that whole mortgage. Do you agree? Do you think that a man should have to pay the entire mortgage, or do you think a man can pay half and a woman pays half? What do you think? It's nice to have a person that does it all.
We're going to pause right there. Remember that question. We're going to pause right there. We got D-Robb that came in the building finally. Woo! What's up, D-Robb?
Well, what up, though?
Hey,
man. This late, boy, they've been delaying me, man. I'm sorry I'm late, man. This dang airport, man. But I'm here now, bro.
Well, I want you to go ahead and introduce yourself. You know, tell a little bit about yourself so we can get you in on this discussion we have.
Oh yeah, man. So my name is Robb Robertson. I'm an actor, host, and a brand ambassador for Triple OG brand. It's one of the biggest brands in the Southwestern districts.
All right, man. And thank you for coming on, man. Because you know, we you know, I know that you know, flights and stuff are kind of crazy right now, wherever you coming from because of the weather. You know, it's just crazy, man. But I'm glad that you was able to come on, man.
Oh, you already know, bro. You big bro. I told you I got you, man. You know what it is.
No doubt, no doubt. So, you know, you can chime in whenever you want to, man. Like I was telling everybody, it's you know, we just a round table discussion type of thing. And Tinsley just asked quite a question. Can you run that question one more time, Tinsley?
I most certainly can. Welcome to the chat. Hello. So my question was, we're talking about, are relationships hard or do we make them hard? And I think sometimes, and I feel we make them hard because we're not clear on realistic expectations among a lot of stuff. But this question came up because I actually went out with a guy not long ago, and he was telling me about why his past relationship failed. His relationship failed with the woman he was dating because she went into that situation thinking that he should be paying the full mortgage while she gets to keep her money and maybe pay small bills. He went into that situation thinking together they should be paying the mortgage. She pays half, he pays half. And then of course they pay everything else, you know, equally or split it. My mindset is this: while it's nice to have a guy to do all of that for you and pay everything, I don't feel that expectations should be set on that person's lap to just do that, period. Because you have to keep in mind, you were already paying your own bills before you met him. You were already taking care of yourself. You might have been paying way more money every month than you're going to be paying there. So if he's meeting you halfway with that mortgage part, I think it's a good thing. Do you think men should have to foot the whole bill on that mortgage, or do you think that that's okay to split half? And we're talking about non-married couples. We're talking about people that are just together in a relationship.
Well,
Okay.
I'm gonna just go ahead, Candace.
You want to take a stab at that before I speak?
Well, no, you go ahead.
Who's that?
Y'all the panel. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was asking a newcomer, and welcome. Thank you.
Oh, hey, Rob.
I'll take a quick
Go
stab
ahead,
at
D.
that for you, Pete. I mean, the way I look at it, if you're not married, and like I said, I'm just going by biblical law. Like, none of us perfect. We all for sure. But if you want to be biblical law, what's really supposed to happen? Yeah, if you married, of course, you it depends on how y'all agreement is. If you're married, y'all work together, right? Now, if you're in a relationship, just a regular relationship, now none of y'all obligated to do nothing. That's something y'all just doing just to do, to be honest with you. But,
Right.
you know what I mean? But it's whatever y'all agree with. It's whatever y'all relationship will agree with. You know what I mean? That's what I mean. If y'all come into it and say, okay, look, we're gonna pay half, I'm gonna pay half, you're gonna pay half. I mean, that's your agreement. You know what I mean? And that's whatever you put up, that's what you should stick by. Now, if you don't have an agreement, you just come into it doing whatever, that's gonna make it confusing. But if y'all both agree, okay, we're gonna pay half, I'm gonna pay this half, you gonna pay this, blah, blah, blah. That's how it should be. It should be what you say. Your word is your bond.
Let me speak to that.
Go ahead. Let's see Renee go. Go ahead, see Renee.
Okay, yeah.
It's all about communication.
Mm-mm-mm.
It's all
Number
about
one.
communication. If
I was
you
gonna say that.
communicate, wait, because I've been there, done that. I have lived with people not a lot, but it's all about communication. You sit down before you even move in before you take that step, and you say, okay, this is what I bring financially to the table. This is what you bring. And then you sit down and you discuss how bills are going to be paid. If the man says he wants to pay the full mortgage and baby, you take care of the car notes, or you take care of the insurance, or you take care of electricity, whatever you two discuss, that's your relationship, no one else. But I don't feel like I don't feel like a man's supposed to pay all the mortgage, or we only supposed to pay half. It's what we decide together.
Right.
Which is what you were just saying, D-Rob. Be it married or being in just a platonic relationship, whatever. You don't have to be married to just go by the rules of the law. Whatever. You can do that and not be married and still, go down that same path. But it's whatever you two decide. There is no law for that. There is no right or wrong for that.
Right.
If a man wants to pay out the mortgage, then go for it. If you two decide to do half and half, then go for it. That's your relationship.
I'm glad you
All right.
said that because apparently this young lady couldn't get that out of her head because the only thing she saw was he's the man, he should pay the whole thing.
Well,
whereas
I feel like they didn't communicate. There was a lot of lack of communication there, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean,
Mhm.
but see, that was the whole thing. They were talking, and you said they went to dinner and they were talking.
They
right?
broke up because of the conversation.
Right, and so
Yeah.
in this young lady's mind, I don't know this woman, but some women were raised that way. They were raised where the man takes care of the bills, period. And that's just the way it is, and they not negotiating on that. And so I've experienced women like that before. I mean, I've experienced them, but I obviously
Okay,
not
so
with them.
you're
But-
looking at a woman who my father takes care of everything. My mom hasn't worked in
Right.
10 plus years. But my man is not my father. Just
Mhm.
because that's what I'm accustomed to, that's not, you have to understand that you can't make your man out to be your father or whatever. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
You just can't do that. So you
And
can't.
Right.
that's where those expectations
And that-
come in at. Because you
and
walking
that-
in the door
right.
with the expectations that, okay, I watch my daddy do this. So this dude, every dude I meet gonna have to do like this, or it's not gonna happen. You know, and
Right.
you said something very important, Wardell, when you said you could be missing out on your blessing by being petty. I know people gonna probably look at me and say, she crazy, honey. My man better pay all the mortgage. You know, that mindset is gonna hold you back. Get out your own way.
Yep.
Because you could be in the household with somebody for a minute. That person might be
Right.
seeing, okay, she willing to do this half with me. Out of nowhere, he might surprise you and say, don't worry about it this month. He might say, don't worry about it next month. You don't
Right.
know what will happen out of that, but you walking in with the
Yep.
mindset of, you're going to pay all this because that's what men's supposed to do, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And I get it. That's a luxury.
Yeah.
It's like
Right.
a benefit. To
Tell
have
that
a man
girl.
to pay
Tell
all
that
that, that's a
Now, hold
benefit.
on.
girl.
Dr.
Talk
Weston,
that
he
stuff.
about to blow up there. Go ahead.
Talk that stuff.
Two things.
Oh,
To accentuate what Mr. D. Robb said, this does not agree or disagree, but to accentuate it, without an agreement, and also Ms. C. Renee said it, without an agreement, there's no functionality. But I would also suggest for you thinking, I can't make you believe this, the marriage, husband and wife, male and female, it is the highest of all expressions. It is the highest expressions of the visibility of God's implanting himself on the earth.
Yep.
Without a commitment of male and female, which is the highest marriage, because we could be married idealistically, but until there is a commitment with God sealing the commitment, I suggest to you
Yep.
that you really are not going to be, as I think Shorty Long said back in the 60s, there is no function at the junction if there is no commitment.
That's right.
Right.
Did you say
that's
Shorty- did you
very
say
important.
Shorty Long?
Now, also, real quickly, Shorty Long.
Oh,
Shorty
I'm ready.
Long.
Shorty Long, function at the junction, serving egg foo young and barbecue chicken dumplings, man, in any way.
Okay.
But the other thing is, I got to put in the teaching part. The thing about the man providing, and most men have been raised this way, it's a good, interesting teaching, but let's look at the truth versus reality. When
Mhm.
that thought came into existence, that word, which we have in English, provider, comes from the basics of all world languages, including Africa, called Latin. It is the influential development of language for all of humanity, especially in the English linguistics. The word, as we know in English, provider, comes from the Latin word providio. Pro means before, video, provadio. Video or video, as we call it, is the word for picture or image. The man's, quote, basic job as a provider is to image, imagine, and see this image, this picture of what should be. He impregnates
Wow.
the woman with that vision, and together they make it happen. This whole idea, and Miss C. Renee said, if you're fortunate to have a man that can provide all that, and you don't have to do anything but, you know, be you, take care of your home the best way that you can, that is great. And though that has worked for a lot of people, the great affair, the great love, the great relationship is not based on what you do is how it exists by being who you are. The provider is the seeder. Everything a man does, he's seeding into that woman and producing this family of awesomeness.
Yes, and that female, that fee, with the emphasis on fee. You know, Dr. James, when you do this, you know, with your hands, I know you mean business. Like you be like, you know, you be like, when you do that, I'm like, he's going there, he's taking it there now. You know, like it ain't nothing like that. It's something about that hand. You be like, you have to do it. You know, I'm listening. I'm listening.
Hey, it's the breakdown. The way you break it down, I'd be like, okay, you know. Because I'm still, hey, D-Rob, you missed out, bro, when he was talking about the 10%. Like, he give his wife 10% of his earnings. Man, my phone was going off here, text messages. Like, yeah, I like that 10%. Like,
I like it. He put it down like, hey, he put it down like Brother Malcolm. He said, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us.
Now, I was trying to see what Sean and
hand gesture bring everything to you, boy. That mean business, boy. That mean business. I like it though.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So we touched on a few things, and I want to get into another question. Can social media destroy a relationship, and how? Now, now listen,
social media.
First of all,
that's a good one.
Hey, you know what? No, this is the thing. Social media. I've heard so many things about social media and relationships, and how it messes up relationships and destroy relationships, and you know, this is what and people. This is how I am. I be straight up with you. I normally don't go on anybody I'm dating. I normally don't even go on their page. I just don't. I just don't go. And some of them get frustrated with me because did you see my post? Nah, not really. You know. But I really don't go on their page because I just let them do them. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how I am. You know, every now and then when they scrolling down my timeline, I'll be like, oh, okay, I see that, then I like whatever. You know, whatever. But I don't go and look and see your comments and stuff. Because see, so for me, if I date someone, I know she's an attractive woman or whatever. So men are gonna say whatever they're gonna say to her stuff, regardless. That's just in my head. You know what I'm saying? So I let that be what it is. At the end of the day, I just care about what's happening in real life. You know, how we getting along right here between each other every day, talking on the phone, or going out to eat, dating, or whatever. I could care less about social media, but that's just my opinion about it.
No, that's
social media. Social media is an animal that must be trained and contained. Now, if anybody in here ever followed Vegas, for a long time, there was these two gentlemen who were animal trainers, and they had an act night after night, night after night. They were considered two of the greatest animal trainers in the world, especially in the entertainment business. But one day he slipped up. He was not able for this one day to maintain that strength and that containment of that animal. And that's when he got attacked. This animal that has been his baby for all these years, one day. So I'm saying that social media is like an animal. It can work for you, but you got to constantly train it and contain it. And once you let it control you, you are destroyed. Never, ever in life should we allow a mechanism to create mess for us.
And that's exactly what it is.
The social media is not the master.
It can definitely create mess. And, you know, you make a good point. You cannot let it dominate the relationship. You have to know, like for me, I'm not going to ever be the person not on social media because I'm in the field. You know, I do journalism, I do interviews, I do that stuff. I'm going to be on there. I may not be on there addicted to it, liking everybody's status, looking for everybody to like mine to justify my value and my existence. That's not what I'm on there for. But I will tell you how it can mess up relationships. If you are a person that's not usually on their liking statuses, you're not usually engaging with stuff, and you don't engage with the person who you're in a relationship with, it's understandable that you're not going to be expected to engage or like a status or even comment on a lot of statuses. However, if the person that you're in a relationship with, you both are sharing the same page, you're friends with each other, you're out there liking and commenting on each other's statuses or people in your community or your friends list and all that. But then suddenly it stops for you, but you see your man doing it on other women. That's when sometimes the problems come, because now I'm like, why you didn't like mine, but you like Bertha? Why you didn't like mine? Oh, you didn't like the one she was talking, but you like Bertha when she put on that type. You didn't like Bertha when she put up that message that said something. The only one you liked was when she had on that catsuit. Why didn't you like the one when she wrote? But you like when she put on that red dress, so it's gonna cause a problem, because now I'm like, you didn't like mine, but you like Bertha. What was going on with Bertha? And it's gonna say, Bertha is cute today, so I'm gonna like her status. You ain't cute, even though you feel like you're cute. So that hasn't happened to me, thank gosh. But I'm getting this from people who have shared with me that these are some of the things that cause problems. Do you know how small a woman feels when people know that they're in a relationship and her man on there liking other folks' stuff and not liking hers and not engaging with her? She feels like a loser. Like she ain't as cool as Bertha. I don't know why I use Bertha, but it just came out.
Well, Bertha is an old term. You talked earlier about a woman's shape and all that. I will remind you that in some parts of Africa, which a lot of Black people don't know, people in general don't know, that some parts of Africa, especially in Johannesburg, South Africa, where the most prized possession, the beauty queen, the epitome of beauty in South Africa is a woman with small breasts and a big butt and dark skin.
Yeah.
That's a fact. So we must understand the standards of which we allow ourselves to be influenced. Real quickly about the communication, because if social media controls us and we don't control it. Years ago, back in the 70s at UCLA, there was this lecture class. It's one professor and 500 students. A lot of the students started coming in and recording the lecture while the professor lectured. And it got to the point where all the students would turn on their recorders and leave the room, and you had the professor lecturing to 500 recorders. All right. So then what the professor did, he recorded his message. He would go in and turn on his recording. The students turn on theirs, and then everybody would leave the room, and you have one machine recording to others. Artificial intelligence cannot displace true, loving, God-fearing human beings communicating with each other in intelligence. Now, highest form of godly expression is communication. We can use all the social media, all the technology in the world, but we cannot lose the art of human communication. When we do, we have a dead society.
Good point.
And a dead relationship.
Good point, Dr. West, definitely. But if I can keep it all the way 100, I'm looking at 5 towels. And we all too dang on grown to allow social media to mess up our relationships. That's one. However, Tinsley, I'm guilty. I'm guilty of being the one like, oh, you like such and such posts, but you claim you didn't see mine. You claim you didn't see it because, in all honesty, you saw it. You look, you lurk, you whatever you want to call it. You scoping, you're checking out what I'm doing. This, and that. You can say you don't, but you do, because we do it. Everybody does it. Everybody does it. Mm-hmm. Now, again, can social media mess up your relationship? We're not 20. Some of us not 30. If it's messing up our relationship at this day and age and our age, I have a daughter in college. If social media is messing up my relationship, that wasn't a relationship. I'm sorry.
It was never real.
It was. No. It wasn't. However, I do know that it can cause some friction in your relationship. More so from the women, because the women, we do Tinsley. I don't care what you say. We do be like, oh,
we don't miss a beat.
I saw you. You liking everything.
You liking everything.
Hello.
Yeah.
And see the part that makes me, and I've seen it.
But why? Let me ask you a question.
Wait a minute, Wardell. That whole.
And I can tell you what she had on the day she had it on. And,
don't you play dumb right here now. Don't you play dumb with someone that's in media. We know media.
Well, look, I got a quick something to say. So I believe that social media can mess up a relationship, and it goes back to the same thing. It's just about agreements. Like, my significant other, she doesn't even like to be on there, but she understands the business I'm doing. When I'm on social media, I'm marketing myself. I'm doing stuff like that. I'm building my brand and things of that such. But the agreement there, if that's something that she didn't agree with, then 9 times out of 10, this is what my passion is. But if I love her enough, I was like, well, I can't rock with it. You know what I mean? But when you have an agreement with somebody about, okay, if somebody's not on there like that you are, and you doing your promotion and marketing and stuff like that, you be respectful, but like a lot of times you don't want to put your spouse or your significant other really out there like that. So I'm just saying, I'm looking at it my point of view, because I done heard from a lot of guys that's, been in the entertainment business way before me and been doing their thing. They said, like, look, you don't want to put your family business out there like that. I mean, you got a lot of psychos out there that'll follow your family, and you know what I'm saying? So it's certain agreements you want to have with your significant other. Like, look, okay, it's all about trust. Like, baby, this is what I do. I'm not gonna put you on everything. You know what I'm saying? Just because I'm protecting my family at the same time. But you got to still, as a man, you got to know what you're doing. You got to be respectful. Now, if you're just a man that's out, this is how the relationship can get bad. If you just out here literally you have agreement with your woman about something, but then you doing the total opposite. You going to all these chicks' pages and you liking, you comment on it. Now that's your fault. You know what I'm saying? You gotta hold
it's disrespectful. Yeah, it can come across as disrespectful.
Yeah,
you gotta hold yourself
accountable. You made a really good point, D-Rob. That's dope what you said. It is about, you have to know your partner, period, point blank. And like you in the industry, I'm an actress. I'm in the industry too. So when I post, I am posting to build or whatever the caption may be. So you do definitely have to know your partner. That is first and foremost. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, it is.
Because in our industry, we take a lot of pictures. We go to events, premieres. We take pictures. We take pictures of a lot of females. I take pictures of a lot of females and guys, but mostly females. And I always say this because, I had a woman say, well, why are you in all these pictures with these girls? I said, well, if I was in a picture with a bunch of guys, you'd be thinking something different. You know what I'm saying?
As long as they're not like that, as long as the other guys are like that.
But as a man, men usually have a female fan base, and a woman has a male fan base. So,
fan base. Yep.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I got a male fan base. They don't like me talking about settle free. They don't want me to raise that awareness.
Tiffany, it's a special type of man just for you, Tiffany. I promise.
Look. Okay.
Mr. West, what you got to say about that? Because this is, I feel like, I think when it comes to social media, people take it just completely out of hand. So social media was created as a business to promote your business or, whatever it is you do. We take everything that happens, whatever that is presented, and find a way to make it something that will be that's personable, to connect with, to have relationships with, all that kind of stuff. Because I had somebody tell me that, Facebook and Instagram is a dating site, basically. That's exactly what they call it. And I said, well, that's interesting because I do my business on there. I usually don't promote my personal life on social media like that. Every now and then I'll post my kids or something like that. But that's about it. You know what I'm saying? Unless I put a ring on this woman's finger and we talking about getting married, that's when I put her out there. But if we just dating and stuff, I don't put all that out there. It's just too much, because the first thing that's going to happen is when you put them out there and it don't go the way it's supposed to go, now you're the topic of discussion every time you go somewhere. Hey, man, what happened to you and old girl? Y'all ain't done that. I've been there, done that.
I've seen that happen to people.
A lot of people, what they do social media too that I don't get. I mean, it's just because I'm just a different person. Like, if I got something that I'm going through and I'm facing, I'm going to God about it. Point blank. I ain't going to nobody else about it. But you notice a lot of people put feeling crazy today, or did they just put all their emotions, all their stuff on social media? And that's
whack.
That's
Depends
very
on how I'm feeling that day.
It's very dangerous, because what are you doing is you putting your stuff out there to get so many different opinions, but the right one, and that's God. That's the only right opinion you're going to get is from him. Everything else is gonna have this opinion. Everybody gonna 50 opinion. Then family members might get it crossed. It might not be the way it's supposed to be, and then you got them mad at the person. They mad at the person. So the best thing is just like keep your personal issues off the gram or off the book.
Make sure, you know, balance it too, bro. You know, they have to balance it too. You know, like there has to be, the word balance is so imperative. So you're in the business, you know, you told us what you do. And so you're in the business. And so your significant other knows that. But then what if your significant other was on social media? I know they're not, but what if they were? You would know how to say, okay, some days I'm going to make sure I engage, and I may not do it all the time, but sometimes I will, because now I need to make sure my significant other knows that I value her just as much as I value other people by not ignoring her on social media, but then coming home and say, no, baby, it ain't like that. It is like that. You didn't like it.
You gotta have balance. It's about balance. Everything is about balance. Like I said, my significant other is on actual social media, but she just don't be on there like I do because I'm promoting our business, promoting the brand, but we'll be on there. But it's about balance. You know what I mean? Everything is about balance. So
it's about confidence too. If that woman is made to feel good about herself by you, she's not going to be intimidated about what's going on there because you made her feel good. Now the confusion comes in once again is she used to you liking them statuses and you ain't doing it. And you like what you like, Bertha. You know, she gonna ask you about it. I'm standing firm. I am standing firm.
And that's it. Quit talking about Bertha.
Don't like Bertha and don't like mine. And that's got that I don't have.
And that's the man that has the control. Like that's all on him. Like if you got
this is killing me, man.
Allow me to
keep that up. You got to keep everything balanced.
Allow me,
man. You got to have a balance in everything. Everything. That's the job.
Allow me to reiterate and repeat something about control and containment. And that's where you get that balance from. But also suggest to you so we could keep things in perspective. And again, it's a suggestion and I hope you buy into it. This monster called social media was not birthed yesterday or last week, 30, 40 years ago. And there is, by the way, a strong social, political connection between those who started slavery, those who crucified Jesus on the cross, to those who are trying to control us now, because it's another form of enslavement. Now, enslavement, just like professional sports, if you got the right contract, good management, you can go through it, make your money, invest. When you get out of it, you're in control, you got something going, but you cannot let it control you. Psychologists, psychiatrists, people from some of the major universities around this country and parts of the world were hired by ad agencies and other people who control media to study the mind, the spirit of a person, and they're out. They are out to destroy people, and they are using these different avenues, making you think it's good for you. Now, let's be real. They are not going to get everybody. If the world thought like at least us in this room right now, particularly our boss Wardell, C. Renee, Miss Bradford, and Mr. D. Robb, if we had thinkers like we have here tonight, we'll have a greater chance of a greater survival because we have an understanding. Look, you know, you all remember that social phenomenon called the pimp? The pimp, the strength of the pimp, especially when it was dominated by men pimps, he would always say, and unfortunately refer to the female as, I got that bee's mind. His control is when he had her mind. Once they control your mind, you are their bee. But be who you are, and don't let nobody control you. And so don't be pimped by social media.
There you
Most pimps. If I may use a sick language,
you no money.
If I can use a sick language, to come up with some medicine here, I just want to offer this. A good hoe, if she's got her strength, she planned her game right, she's going to make that pimp rich, but she's also going to benefit, and that is one hoe that won't be beat up, abused, and confused and torn apart by, she will walk out of the game. But if she is being controlled, once he finished chewing her up, he's going to spit her out, and she's no good to nobody. Don't be pimped.
Wow.
Don't be pimped.
Don't be pimped.
Don't
We need
be
to
a
do
hoe.
we need
Wow.
to do a hashtag. Don't be
Wow.
Yeah,
pimped.
that's a topic right there within itself.
Yeah.
So
Hey, you talking that
there is a
Wardell,
mastermind.
next subject. Are you being pimped?
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
there
right.
is a historical connection to everything we're going through right now.
Yep.
Everything we're going through.
Yep.
And by the way, in terms of women and the mothers and speaking to the boy and the man, you take a man who's the average age, that's not married, and best of his knowledge, does not have any children, remind him that the life that he, and also she, the life that you're living right now is affecting your grandchildren, which are not yet, because you don't even have any children. But what we're doing right now is hard to explain that, so accept it or think about it, pray about it. But the life we live right now is affecting 3 generations down. So if we want to begin to solve some of our problems now, so it won't be a problem 3 generations later, let us work together, reason together, come together, think together, pray together, eat together, and make some things happen for now and for later. And don't be so selfish that you're looking out for me. You got to look out for the we.
I love that.
Yep.
You know, Mr. West, you know,
Hey,
when you hop up and down, when you hopping up and down, I mean, that when you hopping up and down like this, I thought you were gonna come through the screen. I thought you were gonna come through the screen because you bringing the
saying
business.
this. Now you say he dropped
Well, no, it's 2 things. It's the hand and it's the hop. When you hopping like this, you ain't playing today.
Let me put it this way. You all, and the Wardell as the head of this, you all are allowing me, you act like you're accepting me whether you like what I say or not. So I want to let you know how much I love all of you all, because in the words of Sly and the Family Stone, I just want to thank you for letting me be myself. And I'm here as a blessing to add to and not take away. So now you all have taken this string, this 70-year-old man, Deetta's husband, Nikki, Danielle, and Philip's daddy, and I love you and I appreciate you. And thank you for letting me share. We still got some time left, and I'm gonna still try to share. But
hey,
you all know what's coming next. It's like fire shut up in my bones.
Look,
I just can't shut up.
We want to thank you. I want to personally thank you just for the wisdom, bro. Like, you've been here, you done learned a lot, and you done seen a lot, and able to actually give that back to us. That's everything. You know what I'm saying? Because we listen.
It is.
Believe we.
Some things I ain't even looked at from that perspective.
Every time you talk, you notice everybody just shut up because we see the wisdom on you. I mean, you know what I'm saying? We learning from you. You know what I mean? And that's something we can branch off and, build with. So we thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us, bro.
We do. We do.
We appreciate
I have a friend now that's on social media, but he's watching, he's listening. And he said, that's a good word, Dr. West. He said that came out of Corinthians. Great word. You speak in wisdom. I had some other friends who say the same thing. So
thank you.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
And I had to bring Mr. West on. I had him on before, and same thing. Every time he talked, quiet. You can hear crickets because what he's, it's like everything he says is so powerful and meaningful, and his interpretation and the understanding you get from him, it's just on a whole nother level. So
before we get off the air tonight, I want to show you all how to get high off of cocaine and heroin without getting in trouble. If you would let me, before we leave.
So I need you, but Mr. West, I need you to show me how to articulate with those fingers. I want you to show me how to articulate that female part. Because you said the male and the male are the same, but the fee is what separates the two. Male, female. I want the men to see that fee part. Female. You know, like my fee gonna have 2 E's though. My fee gonna have 2 E's. So we're gonna have to talk about that. You know.
Tinsley, I'm trying to help you here. You know what I'm saying? I've been trying to help you here. You're making it hard.
I want my thing is, and this is why I said irritate. I want to get people to see reality, but I recognize that we all have our thoughts and our opinions, etc. I respect all of that. I would be crazy not to accept that. I'm not prejudiced to my own thoughts, but I'm at a point now where my greatest expression of love is to share with you reality and hope that you can, when I say you, not just the panel, but those that are listening, hope that you can understand the desires of my heart. And I pray that you will believe me, or at very least think about it. Because if you think, there is action. Thinking, visualization is the mother of all creation. Yeah. And if I could get you to do that, I'm blessed, and that's my contribution. There's a whole lot I can't say right now out of respect for the time, and it would be nice that after the show is over, maybe in 2 or 3 years, if I run into you all after the pandemic, and you say, hello, I remember you, and that'll be a blessing to me. But if we get a chance, boy, Dale, I want to show you how to get high off of cocaine and heroin. I mean, morphine and heroin.
You can't even say it right.
Legally, morphine and heroin. You know me. There's an angle to it. But if you can, but if not,
you know your wife's gonna get on you after this. She gonna see that your wife gonna get on you.
Oh, I know. She's going to spank me real good.
Oh yeah.
But you know, the only one outside of the Lord and my mother, who's passed on down to glory, is my wife. I respect my wife's strength, and my love and appreciation for her is not so much on all the good that I've done and we've done for each other, but her tolerance, not just her tolerance, but her acceptance of me, because in spite of my imperfectness, I know she loves me, but she likes me, and we are friends. And when you know what I've gone through, and you may not ever know, I've gone through quite a lot. And for you all to compliment me, you don't compliment me by what you're saying, which is great for my heart and my ego, but just allowing me to coexist with you tonight. You're really blessing me. So my wife is the epitome of this discussion. She will spank me. She will get on me. She will still fix my dinner. And if she doesn't, I'll fix my own dinner. No, she'll take all of her money. No matter how much she got, she's going to give me some back. She's going to buy me something. And when she buys, she's not cheap. She's an awesome lady. So yes, Waddell, you know that. And knowing you probably already got me set up.
Hey, you did it to yourself, Mr. West. You did it all on your own.
No, it was actually C. Renee and Miss Bradford. They scared me right up back. I'm glad you brought in D-Robb, because D-Robb is my homie, my brother, my dog.
Okay.
So
I want to know, Wardell, do people feel like relationships cannot be so complicated now? I would like to know that after this segment, that people are walking away and saying, you know what? We really make this stuff hard. Look at that group of people on there talking and laughing together and enjoying each other's company and opinion without getting mad and heated. They're just letting each other be. They're just listening and laughing and enjoying each other's company. They're not looking at it and being conditional and judging someone for saying something. You know, that's how relationships should be. You should be able to laugh and enjoy each other's company, argue, not get along, but still love each other. You know, all of that is so important. And when you don't do that in relationships, that's part of why they're always so hard.
I'm glad that you said that.
I agree.
You know, we're living in a world where if you notice, it's a time where everybody's touchy. It's a touchy time, you know what I mean? So instead of people living off, more people are living off more emotion than everything. Like, and instead of getting their self together and being, happy with themselves, respecting themselves, loving themselves, a lot of people are taking emotions and they're just, they're throwing it out there. They're touchy about every little thing. It's touchy instead of getting down to see what people really saying or what they really mean, and they just automatically gonna take it as one thing and run with it. Right. That's the type of world we're living in right now. So we have to be very humble with people. By us knowing better, like what we talking about, when we face with other people, we can't get mad and quick to get, we got to stay the same way when we dealing with other people, because that's going to show the love of God. That's going to show the love and the humility when you can sit up there and let somebody express themselves, and then you talk to them, because they ain't going to be to hear you if you can't hear them. And we already know what's going on. You know what I mean? So woke, in order to wake somebody else up that's asleep, you have to listen to the sleep to get them woke. You know what I mean? You can't just be, touchy on them, because a lot of times we can fall short of that. Somebody come, you like, man, I don't want to. But no, you're gonna make them. Somebody got to wake them up. Right. And so sometimes humility is everything. We have to humble ourselves down, and to be able to speak to these other people, to let them know, hey man, we're here, we love you. We're gonna listen to your opinion. We're gonna hear you out. And we're gonna do the best we can to be able to talk to you and show you, like, look, bro, it's all love. I'm not about to argue with you. I understand. I've been there, and I've been here. I've been there. Right. I would like to. But that's the only way we can help people. Is that, like, one thing that Jesus did, he kneeled down it's like he stood on what he stood for, but he was open to everybody. Right. You see what I'm saying? But no matter what level of life you was, no matter what you did, like when he told men, like, he who perfect throw the first stone. Y'all judging this woman, but what y'all did? What y'all just did yesterday? That's the type of heart he lived by. That's the type of heart he lived by, and that's what we have to live by, because that's the only way we're gonna help our future and help the generation is the younger than us. Our patience has to be up here. We have to have heck of patience. We have to be humble and listen to what everybody got to say, no matter if we agree. Because that's the only way that you can wake somebody up, is if you stoop down to their level, hear what they got to say.
I'm grateful. I would like to blame all of this on Wardell and the WCEG family. They have the audacity to be open, to practice their intelligence, their love, their technology, their social media type of skills, and dare to reach out to 4 people who they felt had something to share. So I want to blame it on them by way of a compliment, and thank God for the visionary for casting a vision and blessing the people that is listening to this program all over the world, because I know it's going to be rebroadcast. And I want to say, not just because I'm a preacher, I want to pronounce blessing on you right now, my brother, and just thank God for you, that what you have right now will be multiplied, because in us there's a piece of you, and vice versa.
Yes, no.
Oh, thank you.
All day.
Right.
Thank you.
I love it.
Hey, when I do this show, I always try to think of the best people to bring on who can give the truth, and not sugarcoat anything. And I like people who's honest, people who are transparent, who don't mind telling who they are, their faults, their who they are, their truths, their faults, whatever. So when I think about all the people that I know, I sit down and I really plot and make sure that I bring on the right people. And I think everybody on this panel right now delivered today. So I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Wardell.
Very much.
Y'all the bomb. Y'all the bomb. Thanks, Wardell.
No doubt. So look, we got
man is known by the company that he keeps.
Yeah.
Man is known by the company that he keeps.
True. I think I'm gonna write a book called "Don't Let Your Relationship Raise Your Blood Pressure."
Oh, can I do it, Wardell? Can I do it? She just said blood pressure. Can I do it? Please, morphine and heroin. Can I do it? Will you allow me to do it? Yes or no?
We're gonna scrap that part. We're gonna scrap that part.
But it's
You
about
are
blood pressure.
hilarious.
Okay, I'll leave it alone.
We got less than 15 minutes in the show. I want everyone to first, if for everybody who's listening, give a little nugget, a little piece of advice on relationships. If somebody was sitting right in front of you, what would that advice be? I will start with Renee.
Patience. Patience, 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 patience. Self-check is very necessary. I would tell you to self-evaluate, look in the mirror before you even open your mouth to complain. Be patient. No, you're not perfect. And you have to work together in order for it to work. If you're not working together, it's okay to walk away. You don't have to be bitter. You don't have to be angry. You don't have to create a scene. You can just gently walk away and go on about your life. But definitely patience. Patience.
Got you.
Yeah.
Tinsley.
So you have to always ask yourself when you're even considering dating or thinking about dating or are already dating or in a relationship, what is this doing for me? That's one of the most important things to ask yourself. How does this make me feel? How does this add value to my life? And you can pretty much assess that and go, okay, this is a good thing, or it's not a good thing. And then just like Renee said, if it's not a good thing, you know what you have to do. You have to sometimes walk away, but always ask, how does this make me feel? What is this doing for me? Because that's the key. Everything you do, how does this make me feel? If I turn the fan on, is it making me feel too cold or is it making me feel hot? You have to assess, how does this make me feel? If I'm eating this food, am I getting too full? How does this making me feel? Is it nasty or is it good? So anything you do in life, always ask yourself, how is this making me feel? What is this doing for me? Am I benefiting from this?
Wow. Now, is there a time, I got to ask a question off that, Tinsley. Because you sit down, say you're going out to dinner, you sit down with somebody, you ask yourself, what is this doing for me? How does it make me feel? Do you think sometimes we misjudge the situation before it gets too deep, or do you think, you should know something at that first meeting?
No, I think you should use your spirit of discernment. And if you choose to move forward, after that first initial meeting, we can't pretty much tell everything about a person off the first meeting.
Right.
You got discernment. And I always say energy doesn't lie. We already know that energy does not lie. The energy that someone brings to you around you, that aura, whatever they display and release, you pretty much know that's what it is. And then you have to make a decision. Am I interested in talking to this person and moving forward with this? Does this person excite me? Do they light my fire? Is the conversation sparkling? Am I liking this? Does this make me feel good? Or am I arguing? I'm always up for debate. Do I feel like I have to walk on eggshells around this person? Everything I say is always issue. So I'm not going to say, I will say right away, make that assessment, but make sure in the back of your mind, you're observant of that behavior, because that way you won't have any type of mistake in settling. Because what happens is if we're overlooking things that's clear to us, that's when we start settling, so you have to ask those questions. How does this make me feel? What is this doing for me? Am I benefiting from this?
Okay, great. D-Robb?
I think as far as responsibility, humility, and the responsibility is like when you're in a relationship, like you already know it's not just you. You know what I mean? So it's like if you choose to be in a relationship with somebody, like you have to be humble, you have to be responsible. You got to be responsible for you. First of all, it's your choice. I'm looking for a relationship. I know it's not about to be just about me. So I have to learn how to make myself uncomfortable to my partner. Like whatever my partner might like and I don't like it, I have to sometimes make myself uncomfortable to make myself comfortable. I don't know if that makes sense to y'all, but it's like, because your partner would do the same for you. And as a man, we supposed to show that responsibility first. Like it might be stuff, okay, baby, you don't like it. I mean, I don't like it, but this is what you like. All right. I'm gonna be uncomfortable for you, because eventually that woman is gonna automatically, she's gonna adjust to that. She's gonna, you know what, my baby did that for me. I don't really feel like watching this game or doing this, but just because he showed me love, I'm gonna learn how to watch this game. Mm-hmm. And that's what life is all about. Like with a relationship, it's all about it's all about being humble and responsible for loving each other. Because like I said, don't get into the relationship. Why look for somebody to get in a relationship if you're not gonna know that it comes with a responsibility of meeting that person's needs, like, learning to like what they like. You know what I mean? Because it brings out a difference in you.
You said humble When you said humble, who that just struck a nerve. You have to be humble. Period.
Yes.
Point blank. That ego and that arrogance will kill you every time.
Yep.
That was the word.
Because it'll work out
All
pretty
right.
good. Like you learn if you use a man, you take charge first. You know what I'm saying? That's our responsibility. We're supposed to be providers, we lovers, you know what I'm saying, protectors. You gotta, if you're gonna protect your woman in a relationship, you gotta protect her in all aspects. It might even be stuff that you might not feel like doing. But hey, you chose to be in this relationship. So learn to do it, learn to love it. And she will show you that extra in return.
Right.
Amen. Amen. All right. Mr. West.
I would say in your relationship, but not just in your relationship, because we never know how we affect the lives of others. And I want to just sign off my thoughts by saying kindness. Be kind. And this is the reason why it's a little word. I'm going to make it real quick. Kindness elevates the level of dopamine in the brain. When the level of dopamine is elevated, there's a warmthness that we feel, emotional warmthness that creates this strength of kindness. That produces a hormone called oxytocin in the brain. When that is released in the brain, the blood vessels stretches or is elevated. They pump up. In other words, when your blood vessels are expanding and not shrinking, it is allowing the heart muscle to relax. You can get rid of illnesses and all types of diseases, particularly heart trouble or blood pressure, by being kind. There's a lot of relationships that are suffering in an internal blood pressure because folks are not being kind to each other. So I would say to the couples in general and people in particular, from the couples, let the couples be the progenitor of this medicine that we're sharing. Be kind to people. And what people see in you and your relationship is going to minister to others. Remember, 85% of what affects our lives is visual. So it's not about what you say and what you do, but how you respond. Your sons and daughters will understand kindness and love and know how to choose a mate because how they see you and her or her and you responding to each other. And when you go out, just walking down the street, the way you dress, the way you act, the way you smile and speaking to people, either what's up, how you doing, que pasa, que vas usted, however you speak, use kindness. And you can really minister to a whole world population. It only starts with one, and that one is you. Don't be selfish with your love. Love people.
All right, and
yes.
And just for me, I'm just gonna start off saying love yourself before you can't love no one else without loving yourself first. And happiness starts with you. You cannot put all the happiness on someone else to make you happy.
Facts.
Love yourself, know yourself, understand yourself, take time for yourself. You know, a lot of people don't like being by themselves. They want to be in a relationship all the time because they can't stand looking at themselves or you know, getting a true feeling of who they are. Like, you don't know you until you spend some time with you, you know, period. So take that time to yourself, understand yourself, love yourself, know who you are, you know, understand who you are, you know, and try your best not to put all that on another person. When you get with someone, try to understand them, try to understand who they are. You know, we talk about the principles. We brought it up earlier. We didn't get into it, but we talked about those love languages. You know, understand who they are. Understand those love languages. That will carry you far. And with that being said, my panel of guests, thank you guys. Love you guys to death. This was a great show. Before we go, I want each of you to give your social media connect so that people can reach out to you if they want to. Starting with you, Tinsley, go ahead.
Find me at TinsleyBradford.com, spelled just like my name on the flyer. Visit my website, book a consultation. On my Instagram, find me at Tinsley B, spelled just like my first name and the letter B, at Tinsley B on Twitter, and author Tinsley Bradford on Facebook. Come on over.
You see, Renee?
I am Candace Renee on Facebook, and it's Candace with 2 A's, no I, Candace. Candace Renee on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, email is all going to be crenee3865. A lot of people ask me what's 3865. That's love backwards. I'm a big advocate for love. So crenee3865 on Instagram, Twitter, and even email at gmail.com if you're trying to reach me.
Yeah.
All right, D-Rob.
Mine is on Instagram is drob2k3 drob2k3. Facebook is drob Robertson, which is D space ROBB space Robertson, ROBERTSON. And then, you know, Twitter and all that stuff, same thing, drob Robertson.
All right, and Mr. West.
Westministry.org for my website. Facebook, they wouldn't allow me to use the doctor, and I had to change it, so it's James West. And I believe, because I haven't used it in a while, but my Instagram is Dr. West or Dr. James West, and that's how you see me. If any questions, you can go back to my website, get my email address, email me or call me, and I'll hook up with you. However, for those that want to share further or relate, communicate, point of advice, reference, etc., etc. Thank you.
All right, and I'm Wardell Richardson, your host here on WcegWood, Hollywood of the South. For Valentine's, I had to come with a love session. You know what I'm saying? I have a great panel of people here. We talked about a lot of things. If you missed out on this, if you're watching this right now, please share this with all your people. Make sure they see this, tag your friends and stuff, because this will be on Facebook and it will be on YouTube. It will be saved to YouTube once we get off. Also, it will be on different podcast channels. So my last show was on Apple Podcasts and iHeart Podcasts, and even India Podcast bought into it. So, it was on 8 different podcasts. So this show, I'm sure, will do the same thing. I will be putting that out there. Make sure you promote this. Tell your friends about it. I got another show next week on the 25th. 2 women, 2 guys. We're going to balance at it again, talking about relationships. So, I love this month, you know what I'm saying? And I enjoy doing these relationship panels. With that being said, everybody on the panel, stay on. Don't go nowhere. Don't log out yet. But we are going to wrap up the show. Thank you guys for watching. See you guys next week. I'm Wardell Richardson right here on WcegWood.